Welcome to Scorpio Soul Time. I'm Ronique and I appreciate you joining me here. This is our special place where I enjoy doing the horoscope and astrology for you every lunation cycle, and where I try and tap into the energies that are happening not only down here on earth, but as they say, as above, so below. So whatever is going on in the universe and up in the heavens directly affects us here on earth. So if you have never watched my channel before, I appreciate you being here. This is a usually every 2-week lunation cycle. We tap into what are the energies going on with either a new moon or a full moon, or in this case, we are now entered eclipse season. And I invite you to look through the Scorpio Soul Time playlist. There are quite a few videos all the way back to last year. Aries new moon is when I started my channel. And so it's really nice to really go back and see where you've come personally, or where you've come, with your family or with your job, like whatever themes are going on in your life. I invite you to go back 2 to 3 months, 6 months, even a year, to see where you've grown, where you still, need some expansion, where you still need some clarity. And that's what I want you to think about when we do the tarot, because those themes help you and guide you as to how this can be helpful. So if there's anything you ever want to ask, feel free to comment below, and let's get into today's reading, because we have a lot to talk about. So we are entering eclipse season, and we are going to have a full moon lunar eclipse on June 5th at 15 degrees of Sagittarius, 15 degrees 33 minutes to be exact. And the tarot card that goes along with Sagittarius is Temperance. And I think that this is an important card for us all to keep in mind as we go through eclipse season. We are going to be having 3 eclipses, which is not very common. It's pretty rare. Usually we only have 2 eclipses, usually a lunar eclipse, and then followed by what am I trying to say? We have a lunar eclipse, and then 2 weeks later we usually have a solar eclipse. So the last eclipse season we went through was in December and in January. And so we are getting ready to have this lunar eclipse on June 5th, and then we have a solar eclipse in Cancer on the 21st of June, and then we have a lunar eclipse again in Capricorn July 5th. So what I want you to think about as we enter this season is, you see how this angel here, and she has 1 foot in water, 1 foot on land, and she's kind of tempering the water between the two. And there's this lush floral area back here, and then there's this path, and you can see the sun in the background. And so Temperance really asks us to not only create balance in our life, but be able to take the good with the bad, being able to go through our lives in a way that we're not always, too one-sided. And so I think that as we go through this eclipse season, we're all going to be tested in some way. And it can either be, I think many people are going to come out of it with like a renewed sense of, maybe they can kind of figure out where their path needs to lead now. They're going to realize, they were ending an old path. I think some people are also going to feel maybe more bogged down with information, because I think that anytime you have an eclipse, there's this, it's almost like a full moon or new moon on steroids, and the energy is just that much more heightened. So I think some people are going to be very on edge, if you will, during the eclipse season. So I just want you to keep in mind that Temperance card as you move through the summer months, as we all collectively are getting back into life after being on, lockdown, shutdown, however you say, quarantine for these last few months. So there really is a sense of needing to create balance in your life. And so at this full moon lunar eclipse on June 5th, we have the sun up here in Gemini, and then directly across the sky is the moon in Sagittarius. And also remember, the lunar nodes went into Sag and Gemini a few weeks ago. So we literally are lined up here. The sun, we also have Venus here in Gemini that is retrograde, the north node, we have the south node, and then we have the moon. So that is what is creating this. It's a partial lunar eclipse. And so at this time, I think that we need to also remember that information is going to be coming out because we are in this sun in Gemini. So remember, we're still in that very communicative, wanting to bond with other people, getting back into a lifestyle of, getting out there, kind of dipping our toe in the water, like how I showed you on the temperance card. I think there definitely is this sense of trying to get our bearings back in order. But I also think that with that Sagittarius moon, there is going to be kind of like this sense of wanting to get out in adventure and travel, and it might not be traveling like long distances and on long vacations, but I mean, traveling right now for any of us really is just getting out of the house, going to things that we weren't able to go to a month ago because of the lockdown. So I just want you to realize that this is going to be an eclipse that is very interesting for all of us, because this is the first Sagittarian eclipse since 2011 and 2013. So I want you to think back in that 2011-2013 period and what themes were going on in your life, and just see if there's any maybe correlations to where you are now. Or remember, eclipse season and eclipse energy, they last for 6 months. So if you think about it, when we were at that last eclipse season from December and January, that energy lasted all the way till now. So remember, just because you don't feel it in this, next 2 weeks, a month, it can take all the way until 6 months from now before you're really seeing everything play out. But there's definitely going to be themes of new energy, new knowledge, more expansive information that comes in, because we've never actually witnessed in this 100-year cycle. I heard an intuitive say we basically have never seen a Sagittarian we've never had a Sagittarius new moon eclipse at 16 degrees. So this is really a new eclipse point. And it's very interesting because we've been going through Cancer and Capricorn cycles of eclipses. Remember, our next eclipse is going to be on June 21st, and that is in Cancer. And then we'll have a lunar eclipse on July 5th, which is in Capricorn. So that's going to end that cycle of the Capricorn Cancer eclipses. And so at this time, we're literally going into a new ecliptic point. So this is really big for all of us because we've never seen this before. So you're going to have themes that come up in your life that are new, that are expansive, that are, out of left field. And I think that for many of us, we are going to, not be comfortable with newness. Many of us don't know how to handle new stuff. I think everyone is going through just a new experience here with coming out of quarantine, how the government and how your local agencies are handling, opening up safely amid the pandemic. I know there still is like a sense of fear, there is a sense of unsurety, and I think that's going to continue throughout the summer, unfortunately, because there's just so much, not only the new energy from the ecliptic point, but remember, we have quite a few planets retrograde. And if you look back in Scorpio soul time to the last new moon video that I did, that I told you we were entering retrograde season, I mean, we are going to be going into Mercury retrograde here in June. So there really is information wants to come out, but a lot of information is not going to come out because Mercury is going to go retrograde. I'll talk about that on the next video, but I just want to let you know, like, be comfortable with not knowing. And I know that that is almost like a oxymoron to say, but we're not going to know all the information. We're just not. And so as we head into this eclipse season, you're going to have to find a way to make peace with not knowing the whole story, not knowing all the information. So I want you to think through that as we shuffle the cards here. And I want you to think to yourself, what information at this full moon needs to come out? Because remember, full moons also are an ending point. So it's interesting because it's like this eclipse is a starting point, but it's also an ending point. And so I want us to all get clear as to what it is we want to tie up loose ends as we end this eclipse season that we just went through, and what do we want to become new again, or what do we want to invest our energy and our Sagittarian adventurous spirit in. So I'm going to clear the energies before we get into the cards. I want you to take a deep breath and close your eyes and think through what it is that you would like to clear. Okay, very good. All right, so let's get started. So as I was saying, I'm going to keep shuffling the cards, and I want you to think through what it is in this upcoming lunar eclipse, full moon. Is it that you either need clarity about, because full moons often bring culminations, things being illuminated, and with that Gemini Sun and the Sagittarius moon, there could be information that comes out around maybe more communication at work, more communication around your community, but it could center around themes of travel, themes of how it is that you can get out into the world, but also make a new way for yourself. Because I think that especially at work and any place that we're all having to come into contact with other people, there's going to be a sense of wanting to reconnect, but almost a sense of we don't know how to reconnect. We don't know how to connect in general. And so I think that's going to be that push and pull of temperance that I was speaking of at the beginning, where we're going to have to find a balance for ourselves and find a balance with everyone around us. And you see the Strength card just came out, and she has the infinity symbol over her. So I always think that Strength is very similar to me to the Temperance card as well, because it's like you're having to find that balance. You're having to tame, between the rough, untamed side of a lion and then your own spirit. It's like there's still that yin yang of having to balance and find a connection between what is it that you're not comfortable with, what is it that you don't know how to do. I mean, many of us are having to step into things we've never done before. So I think that this is really going to be a time that we all have to find our strength. So I don't think that it's not too crazy that that just flew out there. All right, so let's do a past, present, and future spread. And we'll cut the deck, and then let's see what the energies are at this full moon lunar eclipse in Sag. And I would say everyone, if you know how to look up your birth chart, you can really just go online to like Astro Cafe or just type in free birth chart, and to see where in your chart Sagittarius at 16 degrees is, and that way you'll be able to figure out what part of your life or what house that these themes are going to be affecting you. So we have the King of Swords in reverse in the past. We have the Page of Cups in reverse in the present. We have a King of Pentacles in reverse in the future. And then on the bottom, we have the Nine of Wands. Okay, so I think it's interesting that everything is in reverse. And the reason why I say I think it's interesting is because that to me is sensing that there's like uncomfortability, like there's like tension, but there's also like this unsurety of like how to go forward. So what I like to do is turn the cards right side up just to be able to read them, and then I think we can get better clarity, and then I can just give you what the reverse meanings are. So let's start off with this Nine of Wands on the bottom, because I think the Nine of Wands is very indicative of what we've all just been through, and we're still all going through with the pandemic. And the Nine of Wands signifies this man who has been through the ringer. You can see he's bandaged up. He's kind of looking over his shoulder, trying to figure out what else is next. I can't do anymore. I'm just ready to be done. He's still kind of standing on guard, and he's just like really like shaken up, but he's almost to the end. He's almost to that finish line, but he's just not there yet. And so this to me symbolizes that we all have been through a lot, whether it's dealing with your work, dealing with your career, dealing with, having to have a new family dynamic. Maybe you have college students that had to come home. I know I have a middle school daughter who just finished her middle school, and she actually graduated, but they didn't have graduation, but they did have like a drive-through kind of, commemorating them. So that was really special. But I think that we've all had to realize that what we thought was normal way of living wasn't, right? We've gone through just so much tension, and it's still here. And so I think that this, coupled with the Strength card, is this theme of not only having to realize that you're not out of the woods yet, but you're almost there. I think that this is going to be a big theme going through this summer, because this eclipse season is really going to bring out information that we didn't know we had to deal with. I mean, there's still information every day that comes out around the pandemic, around, testing, around, what your local government is doing, how you're going to, be able to have health care for those people who have lost their jobs. I mean, there's just so much that has gone on that I think that this strength, it's almost like that duality and that temperance again, where it's like you're having to balance, you're having to have that strength in order to move forward. So I think that that's going to be this overarching theme of this eclipse season is, you're going to still go through a lot, but there is like this kind, this is almost like this arm from the heavens saying, it's going to be okay. We're going to get balance, but it's going to take some time. Like nothing is going to just happen overnight. Okay, so that's the overarching theme. And then down here in the past, we had the King of Swords in reverse. And the King of Swords definitely is this energy of this strong, commanding force of swords usually deal with clarity and anything that is a mental energy. So there's this sense of What is it in your life that you either needed to find clarity in the past that maybe you didn't? Because remember, this was in reverse. So is there a portion of your life, is there a theme somewhere around not being able to get enough information, not being able to get to the bottom of things? Because the King of Swords usually like cuts anything out of the way. Like, he gets to the bottom of things. He does not waver in his decisions. Like, whatever he says goes, and everybody in the town knows that when the King of Swords puts down his sword, it is what it is. So this to me is almost symbolizing, you could have air energy or someone who is a air sign. Could be Gemini. Remember, we are in the Gemini season, so this also could signify something dealing with I'm almost getting a sense of there's an authority or authoritative figure in your life that set forth rules that maybe you didn't agree with, or maybe you were left out of information. There's something in the past that you still need clarity from a King of Swords standpoint. And so think through in your life if you have someone that is in, and it could be you. I mean, this could be you, or it could be someone around you who possibly didn't have maybe they had the information, but they didn't give it to you. That's what I'm kind of sensing, like almost like you had to go through the ringer, like that Nine of Wands in the past, and you needed clarity, but you didn't get it. And maybe you're still holding on, and maybe you're still seeking information. So that's what I'm getting from that reverse King of Swords in the past. In the present, we have the Page of Cups. And the Page of Cups is usually a young energy, and it could be a water sign like a Scorpio, Cancer, or Pisces. It also could mean that coming up in this Cancer season, remember we are coming into eclipse season, so that eclipse that is the solar eclipse on June 21st is in Cancer. So there could be some new information. Pages usually bring information. They usually bring signs. It could mean young children. It could be family. This could mean some kind of messages around emotional support. Cups are water energy. So there's this sense of maybe someone in your life is trying to bring you messages of emotional support. It could mean something dealing with your family. I think that it's really interesting that we already have a Cancer or a, water sign, and then we had the air, which is the Gemini. So there's already this sense of the seasons that we are going through with the planets are already coming through. And so I think in this eclipse season, we're already seeing that sense of, is there someone in your life that is going to possibly need emotional support? This could be you. This also could mean that the information that you were seeking back here, maybe you actually get some emotional information, or maybe you need to handle things better, because remember this was in reverse. So maybe there still is a lack of emotional help or a lack of communication from someone who is in more of an emotional state. This could also mean something dealing with your children. Page of Cups often deal with family members, especially young family members. So this could mean definitely something around your house and home this summer. And since it's in reverse, there could be changing themes of emotional support, or maybe communications around your family could also be a theme. So I think it's interesting too. Let's move on to that King of Pentacles, because I can see how it's going to tie in, because the King of Pentacles in the future, and I want to say, did we get the King of Pentacles? I think we may have gotten the King of Pentacles either in the last Scorpio Soul Time New Moon reading back in retrograde season. I remember the King coming up, and so I think the King of Pentacles in the future is always a great sign, because this means that we have some earth energy. This could mean someone influential in your life is coming in that is going to bring financial wealth, or maybe it's a boss or someone who has information and details about how money could be coming in. It also could be something around your family, because remember, like I said back there with the Page of Cups, there is a Cancerian young energy that I'm feeling, but then this earth energy. So you see here we have the earth, we have earth energy, we have water energy, we have air energy, and then we have the wands, which is the fire. So we literally have all 4 suits here. So I think that's something to note, because as we move into this eclipse season, there's almost like a sense of every part of your world is going to change in some way. And that makes sense with the eclipses, because it's just such strong energy in a small portion of time. And then with the planets that are already retrograde, as well as Mercury going retrograde, there's like this sense of every portion of your world is going to be rocked. That's what I just heard. Every portion of your world will be rocked. And so I think that in the future, with this King of Pentacles, and since it was in reverse, there's kind of like this sense to me of, where do I go with my finances? Where do I go to feel secure? I feel like there's this sense of insecurity and not quite knowing where to go in this summer eclipse season. I'm not quite sure if that king, because you can see there's 2 kings, and with the king in the future and the king in the past, it's almost like there's a sense of either someone around you or you being the king. Like, you're wanting to put your foot down, you're wanting answers, you're wanting to make decisions, but you can't. You're wanting to move on from this King of Swords, but maybe your family is making it, maybe the family dynamic is making it so you can't. So let's do some we're going to do some clarifiers, because there definitely is there's some themes here that I'm kind of sensing around needing to be done with something. So this is the 6 of Wands that just fell out. And what I like about this 6 of Wands is that the 6 of Wands in the Rider-Waite deck is usually signifying a man rides in on his horse, and he has a wreath on the wands, and there's like the townspeople are all celebrating his success. And so the 6 of Wands definitely could mean that there is this sense of overcoming the hardships. And so that's really refreshing to see after we had this 9 of Wands here, because it's almost like, yeah, you went through some hard times, but they're going to be worth it. Like almost like some karmic lessons are going to be coming through. And especially with it being the fire suit, there's this sense of, you know what? Even though you did go through that hard time, even though, you didn't know where your next paycheck was going to come from, you made it work. You were able to, start selling something on Etsy, or you were able to open up your own, mini shop online. Like there's just like this sense of you made it work. Like even though you had rough times, you made it work, and you are rising above all of the hardship. So that's really refreshing to see with that 6 of Wands. So let's get some clarity on the King of Swords first. I feel like someone in the past, either you needed clarity from, or someone's trying to get clarity from you. And that could be an air sign, could be an Aquarius, a Gemini. It's interesting. Why is the King of Swords here in the past and reverse? All right, so let's cut the deck. King of Swords. So I get 5 of Cups. 5 of Cups in the Rider-Waite deck is usually a man in a black cloak. He's peering down at 3 cups that have spilt over, but there's 2 cups behind him that he does not realize. Like, he is worried and only focusing on the cups that have spilled. So this is definitely in the past. I'm getting, you're just too focused on something that wasn't working, emotionally wasn't working. And with that being with the King of Swords, I'm getting like this feeling that someone in your life had information that you needed, but you didn't get it. There was someone in your life who thought they had the information, and maybe you got the information and then you were disappointed when you received it. But the good part of all of this is that it's in the past. And so you don't need to keep worrying and focusing on what you didn't get from this person, or if this person was you. Maybe you were supposed to give information to someone. Maybe you were in a commanding role. Maybe you were the one that was supposed to come through with some type of information, but you didn't. And you were the one that is emotionally scarred, or maybe you made people around you disappointed in you. So I think that this sense of energy definitely wasn't a welcomed energy, but I'm seeing that 6 of Wands up there, and with that strength, you're coming out of that season. Like, you're not going to keep worrying about that season. All right, so let's continue with our clarifying, because I think that there's some good stuff here. It's just that it's been a bumpy road, right? Can't always have all roses in life. That's just kind of like how it goes, right? We'll put it like this so that we can actually see. Can we see it now? All right. All right, so let me do this Page of Cups. So the Page of Cups. Oop, okay. All right, so the 7 of Swords. This usually is depicted as almost like a thief is like stealing swords, which usually means someone is being dishonest. Someone in your life has information or secrets that you need. And remember, I was saying about that King of Swords that I thought maybe someone had information that you needed. So this is almost, to me, sounding like with this Page of Cups, instead of it being children, like I was thinking before with that young energy, I'm almost now thinking that there's someone in your life that may need either help trying to get information and emotional energy out, or maybe this is you trying to, there's some kind of cover up somewhere. That's what I feel like. Someone isn't being honest. So let's figure out with that King of Pentacles, what that looks like. Because I'm almost getting this sense of like with that 5 of Cups, that Page, I don't know. So let's do this King of Pentacles. King of Pentacles is going to be the last clarifier. Let's figure out what's going on here. Why is the King of Pentacles in reverse? So you can already tell that this eclipse season is going to be very interesting, right? It seems like there's going to be some information that you're going to need that you might not be able to get to. And I mean, that's just, I think that goes back to that Sagittarius. Remember I said this is going to be the first time you're coming into this energy. This is going to be the first time you've ever even seen this energy. So that's what I think a lot of this has to do with, is like things that you didn't even see coming because you've never experienced it before. All right, so we just had those 2 cards fall out. So we have the Four of Swords, which usually has to do with resting, and the Three of Wheels, which has to do with you teaching someone, or there being some kind of energy that you are trying to instruct or teach someone. So I'm almost getting like you need to take a break. You need to stop stressing and worrying about what you have no control over in the future. But with that Three of Wheels, which is also Pentacles, and these are clarifying the King, I'm getting this sense of something that you've been working on, like the Three. The King of Pentacles is coming in to tell you that in the future, you're going to have to continue to put in more hard work, but you're going to need to rest from the things that you don't have control over. So there's this sense of where you felt like people were wronging you in the past, trying to steal maybe information, or remember the King of Swords that you couldn't get information from. In the future, it's not going to be an issue, or you just need to take a break from it and it will work out on its own, or you might get clarity in the future. These Seven of Swords, Four of Swords, and King of Swords is signifying stop stressing. You can't do anything about it in the future, so just don't worry about it. Don't worry about the past. Don't worry about who's trying to be shady, because it's going to come out at some point. Okay, so I think that this is a very interesting spread. I think that there definitely is a sense of needing to move on from this. Move on from the King of Swords and that Five of Cups where you were worried and information wasn't clear and someone was being shady. But remember, this Cancer, let's see, the Cancer new moon that happens on June 21st, that's like a mega eclipse. Like that's the one that is really going to change things around. So what I'm sensing here is there's some work issues to be done. There's some trust issues to be done. But there's also this sense of being able to create a balance from the hardness that you've went through. There is some type of victory here. This Six of Wands is verifying like it's not all going to be hard. It's not all going to be as difficult as we think, but you're gonna just have to put time into it. All right, I see that the lawn people are officially in full force. So I appreciate you all joining me here on Scorpio Soul Time. I hope you all have a great eclipse season, and I look forward to you joining me again here. And anytime you have questions or comments, please feel free to ping me or leave a comment below. All right, bye.